What's up guys, it's Manga Time once again, and I'm here today to bring you my review of Bleach 582, The Headless Star. And this is my last review from university, which is pretty crazy when you think about it. Because it feels like I've been here for so long. I've done so many reviews here, and yeah, it's crazy to think about it. But anyway, this is a really good chapter actually, I think. Not a huge amount happens, it's kind of empty on the content, but what we do get is actually really quite cool. It's pretty cool actually. There are a couple of interesting points to make, I think. So it starts off where it left off, as it always does. Well, generally does. And Kenpachi is like, I never thought one day you'd come to help me. And then it goes like, can you stand? And he's looking all super happy. And basically, Kenpachi's like, worry about yourself, you idiot. And so, just behind Ichigo, Candace Catnip is flying towards him with all her electricity, her thunder. And she tries to get Ichigo, but immediately he grabs her wrist from above. So obviously he's now behind her. He's now super fast. And at this point, I was thinking, right, this entire chapter is pretty much just gonna be a one-way curb stomp. But luckily, that wasn't the case. We kind of was. Ichigo flings her into this building, and then Giselle, Menanas, and Lil Tota all attack him at once. He dodges all of it, almost gets hit by Lil Toto. I think she bites his cloak, and then he flings them all three at once into buildings. I'm not entirely sure how that's humanly possible, unless he grabbed Giselle, grabbed Menanas, and threw Lil Toto with his cloak. But anyway, they all come out of the rubble, and surprisingly, Giselle and Menanas don't actually seem to know who he is, which I kind of thought was a bit weird. Luckily, Lil Toto knows who he is, and she's like, he's Ichigo Kurosaki. And Giselle mentions that he's the first in the special war potential list. So this is a couple of interesting points right here. One is that special war potentials are back. I kind of thought maybe Kubo had forgotten about them, but luckily not, which is good. And two, Ichigo is number one in the war potentials list. Now, I don't think that's ever been mentioned before. I'm pretty sure when they first mentioned Ichigo as a SWP, they just said the special war potential Ichigo Kurosaki. Now, that's also interesting because I'm also sure that Yhwach once said that that Kenpachi was the first special war potential. I mean, it makes more sense for it to be Ichigo, but yeah, that's kind of cool. I thought they came back with that. Anyway, Candace kind of explodes out of the tower, and she's like, I don't care about any of that sort of stuff. I'm just never going to forgive you for covering me in dust, because every morning I wake up hours before everyone else just to get my hair to look decent. Okay. Anyway, Giselle looks hilarious. She's like scary. And then something really cool happens, and Candace hits the little heart buckle on her belt, and it transforms into a bow, which I thought was really cool. And she fires off this lightning arrow, which is called the Galvano Blast. And apparently, it basically strikes with the power of 5 gigajoules, which is pretty crazy. And Lil Toto's like, as if he's going to die with one shot of the Hylic file. And it's really cool to see a Quincy using a bow and arrow once again, because we haven't seen that in a long time, because the Vandermeik have kind of abandoned those ideals. So it was awesome to see that again. And anyway, Ichigo says, I thought it'd be hard to fight against women, but I guess I don't need to worry about that. Now, a lot of people did say that Ichigo wouldn't properly fight these guys, because they're girls. And it did seem like he was maybe holding back a bit, but he's decided he's not going to bother. Anyway, we see what he looks like underneath his cloak, and it looks interesting. First reactions, I'm actually not sure, I think. Now, there's some obvious parallels here with Isshin, because he's got the thing on it, he's got the shoulder pad, like Isshin has. He doesn't seem to have any cloak on his back, though. The shoulder pad just forms like an X, which is very reminiscent of Fullbring. And then he's got like a cloak going down his waist. Now this almost looks like a Captain's Hayori, an exaggerated Captain's Hayori, because it's got the same markings on it, but they're bigger basically. So yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if the Royal Guard have actually made him into a member of the Royal Guard or not. But yeah, that'd be kind of cool if they had. I'm not sure I like the marking on the shoulder pad much. It's kind of difficult to see it, and then he's also got his gloves on, which could be reminiscent of his hollow powers, though I suppose Fullbring kind of is. There's no real sign of his Quincy powers, which I thought was interesting. Unless you could say the gloves are reminiscent of his Quincy powers, I suppose. Anyway, all three of the other girls then summon their bow and arrows, which I think is cool, and it's a nice little effect that they all have different looking bow and arrows. Like Giselle's has like little bones on it, which is kind of cool. And then Ichigo swings, and that's all we see of that fight at the moment. So it's cool that fight didn't get completely ended in this chapter, because I know a lot of people, myself included, were basically expecting the FemRitters to get obliterated. Anyway, so Yhwach says, "So you came, Ichigo Kurosaki," and he's watching from afar. Now, I have one thing to say about this, because I think there's something potentially going on here. Now, we know that Yhwach gets stronger with every person that dies. We also know that Yhwach's body kind of goes back and forth in age. Like, he regresses in age and he goes older and older. Now, the last time we saw him, which was at the end of 565, I believe, like, last time we saw his face, and that was when he was like, I thank all the souls who died. The two times we've seen him after this chapter and the chapter when the meteorite comes down, we haven't seen his face. I'm wondering maybe if Kubo is hiding something, like if Yhwach's either going younger or older. One of those two things. I'm pretty sure is probably happening. Because quite a few people have died. So yeah, it could possibly be changing how he's looking. I don't know. Maybe not. I kind of hope it's not, unless he still looks awesome, because he looks awesome. Anyway, he then says we're going to start Haschwalth and Uryu, which gets me pretty excited, because it's about time the Vanderreich really turned things around. But just before the end of the chapter, Askin Naklavar is looking on rather sneakily. I don't know what he's doing back at the palace. I don't know what Askin's up to. But he says, "So it starts. Let's see, will I be able to make a choice or not?" And that's the end of the chapter. Ooh, spooky. So, what's Askin up to? There's not an awful lot to go on. However, this could mean that he is stirring to D, the decision, or the decider, or the decide. Now, I don't know, like, does this mean he's going to be super hacks, and his ability has the power to change the war like that? I mean, if it does, I don't know. I don't really know what to expect, because it sounds like he's going to have to do something, but he's got personal issues with what he's going to have to do. Now, a lot of people have theorized that Askin doesn't really want to fight, like doesn't really want the war to go on. So it could be he could just not. It could be a Gain situation all over again where he wants to kill Yhwach. That'd be disappointing to me because we've seen it before, and Askin hasn't even fought yet, so you better get a damn fight before he dies. But anyway, Kubo has been hyping Askin up like crazy, so I really hope Askin has quite the role to play, because he seems like one of the major Sternritters. But as for what Yhwach said about we're going to start now, I don't really know what he means. I kind of expect that maybe he means Haschwalth and Uryu are going to properly enter the fray. A lot of people theorize that, as soon as Ichigo arrived, Uryu would step in, and that would be like a big kind of moment. But yeah, there's not a whole lot else to say this week. I've covered the major points. Ichigo's clothes. That's got to be Fullbring, the X, then obviously there's the obvious Shinigami motif, and then possibly a Captain Sayori on the bottom half. No real look at his Quincy or hollow powers, but then Fullbring is hollow. But then the gloves could be his Quincy powers. But he looks okay. I think he looks cool enough. The X is a bit of an eyesore. I kind of hope that gets blown off. But yeah, I mean, apart from that, I don't think there's a whole lot else to talk about. I mean, the artwork was really nice, actually, really nice. There were some really good poses, actually, this week. The one where Ichigo grabs his swords like that, and he's got his other hand as well, that's cool. We're about to get to see Ichigo use dual wield, actually, which is neat. I'm really excited for that. Really excited to see if Ichigo has any other abilities, or whether he's just going to spam Getsuga. Hopefully he has other abilities. I really hope he has other abilities. But, kudos for Kubo, I think, this week for drawing some really cool poses, and all the girls kind of pulling their bows and arrows in different ways. And just this week's chapter looked really nice. I think there was a lot of good action. No Shinji Basby, which is a bit disappointing, but it looks like they're going to focus on Ichigo first, which a lot of us expected. But yeah, that's kind of it for this week, guys. I'm going to give the chapter an 8 out of 10. The artwork was great. Not a huge amount happened. That's kind of the problem for me. But it looks like next week could be really promising, unless Kubo kind of stalls on Yhwach's, destruction or whatever happens. But yeah, that's kind of it this week, guys, I think. So let me know in the comments below what you thought of this week's chapter. What do you think Askin's going to do? That's probably my biggest question of the week. And I'm thinking next week I might bring back comment of the week, so if you guys leave some awesome comments, I'll pick out the ones I like the best. And if they can start up a good discussion, that'd be perfect. Yeah, what do you think about Ichigo's new clothes, and what do you think Yhwach's going to do? So that's kind of it for this week, guys. As always, like the video, that'd be cool. Subscribe if you like my videos, and yeah, keep coming back for more. But until next time, guys, see ya.